Hello everyone. Today we are going to do a poem, The Road Not Taken, written by Robert Frost. Students, look at the title of the poem, The Road Not Taken. Here the road is not a simple path or a way, but it refers to the choice which we make in our life. In everyone's life, a certain point of time comes when one has to choose an option, and this option only decides his or her future. Now, let's begin the poem. Before reading a poem, I would like to share a brief detail about the author. The poem is written by Robert Lee Frost, who was born on 26th March in 1874 and died on 29th January 1963, was an American poet. His work was initially published in England before it was published in America. He is highly regarded for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. Frost was honored frequently during his lifetime, receiving 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. He became one of the America's rare public literary figures, almost an artistic institution. He was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 1960 for his poetical poems. Now let's begin the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Here in this stanza, the poet is telling that he was standing at the fork in a yellow wood and saw from where the two roads were diverged, and sorry I could not travel both. And he felt sorry because he could not travel both the roads, because he was a single traveler and it was not possible for him to travel both the roads at one time. So to decide the road, he stood there for a long time, and first he looked down the first road as far as he could, and he found that the end of the road is not very clear. The end of the road was full of unwanted bushes and plants. Undergrowth means bushes and plants. Now come to the second stanza. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. Then he saw the second road, and he found the second road as good as the first one. Or perhaps he found in the second road the better opportunities, because the second road was grassy, full of grass, and it wanted more people to be traveled upon. Though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. Though on both the roads, people had traveled, but the only difference is there. The first road was opted by more number of people, and the second road was opted by less number of people. Now come to the third stanza. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. And that morning, that fine morning when he had to decide the option, that morning he found both the roads equally covered with the fresh leaves. It seemed that no one had walked upon those two roads. So he decided to move first on the second road, and he kept the first road for some other day. Though he knew well that one option leads to another, and it's very difficult to come back and move on the other one. So he has a doubt if he would be able to come back and move on the first road. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Sigh means deep breath. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And with a deep breath, he will keep on telling to the future generation that once upon a time, when he was an adult, he had two options. There were two roads, and he chose the road which was less traveled by the people. And that has made all the difference in his life. That has made him what he is today. So in this way, we will see the message given by the poem. Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken, seems to hold out the motto that life is a continuous journey full of divergence now and then, full of ups and downs. The important thing is to move on without looking back. What we decided once, we should keep on moving on that without looking back, whether the choice of paths taken was right or wrong. The right or wrong are relative terms. We cannot get everything in life and have to make choices. Everybody can't get everything in his or her life. He has to choose one option. He has to decide one option. Whatever direction in our life takes is determined by the choice made by us. In the journey of life, one can seldom come back to travel the roads not taken earlier. So this is a beautiful message conveyed by the poet through this poem. Now we will discuss the poetic devices of the poem. We will come to the first stanza. First of all, we will discuss the rhyme scheme of the poem. Here the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, A, B. See the last word of the first line, wood. Wood is rhyming with the last word of the third line, stood, and last word of the fourth line, could. So the last word of the second line, both, is rhyming with the last word of the fifth line. So the rhyme scheme of this stanza is A, B, A, B. Now the second poetic device which is used here is anaphora. Anaphora is that figure of speech when the same word is used in the beginning of successive lines. You will see in the second, third, and fourth line, the word and is repeated at the beginning of these lines. So anaphora is used here. Now come to the next. Here in this stanza, again we will discuss the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme is again A, B, A, B. Because fair is rhyming with where and there, and plain is rhyming with same. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. Second, the poetic device which is used here, that is alliteration. Alliteration is that figure of speech when the consonant sound is repeated in the same line. For example, you see here wanted where. In both these words, were sound is repeated. Wanted where. So alliteration is used here. Now come to the next. Again, the rhyme scheme here is A, B, A, B, because lay is rhyming with day and way, and black is rhyming with back. Next poetic device which is used here is antithesis. Antithesis is that poetic device when two contrasting ideas are put together. Now see this line. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how well lays on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. In these lines, two contrast ideas are put together. First, the poet has kept the first road to move some other day, yet he has a doubt whether he would be able to come back and move on the first one. So first he decided to move, and secondly he has a doubt also whether he would be able to move or not. So these two are contrasting ideas, and that's why it's an antithesis. Now come to the next stanza. In the second line, see, ages and ages are repeated. Here repetition poetic device is used because repetition is that figure of speech in which the same words are repeated in the same line. Secondly, we will also discuss the rhyme scheme of this stanza, and we will find again this stanza has also the same rhyme scheme A, B, A, B. Now, students, with this we will come to an end of the session. Thank you everyone.